My name is Avery Collins, and this happened on the last night of college. It was our prom night. The kind people hype up for years. Music blasting, lights everywhere. People taking pictures like it's the last moment that matters. And honestly, it kinda was. By midnight, the party had basically taken over the auditorium. Someone brought speakers, lights were dim, people were dancing like security didn't exist. Nobody cared anymore. It was our last night. I was there with my friend Delaney. We had just wrapped up a bunch of group photos when she suddenly grabbed my arm. "Wait, hold up," she said. "My lipstick is gone and I seriously need to pee. Like, emergency." I laughed. "Of course you do." "Come with me," she said. "I'm not going alone." "Girl, you're so dramatic. Just come." So I did. We walked down the hallway towards the girls' restroom near the back. The further we went, the quieter it got. The music faded into this dull thumping sound, the kind you feel more than hear. The restroom lights were still on. Inside, everything looked normal. 3 stalls, long mirror, white tiles. The weird echo every bathroom has. A couple of girls were already inside, so we waited near the mirror. One stall closed, one slightly open. We just stood there. Delaney fixing her makeup, me scrolling on my phone. Then the last girl finished up, checked her lipstick, and left. Now it was just us. That's when I noticed it. In the mirror. At the back stall. A pair of black heels. Just standing there. Not moving. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Someone inside, whatever. But something felt off. The stall door wasn't fully closed. Just slightly open. Barely. And through that tiny gap, it looked like someone was standing right up against the door, facing outward, like they were watching us. I squinted a little. "Hey, is that Kinsley?" I asked. Delaney didn't even look up. "No, I literally saw Blair come in." "Where?" "Second to last stall." I turned back to the mirror. "Then, who's in the last one?" Delaney shrugged. "Girl, I don't care. Mind your business." I rolled my eyes and went back to my lip gloss. But, out of the corner of my eye, I kept looking. Still there. Same black heels. Not moving. At all. Then suddenly, flush. But not from that stall. From the one next to it, we both looked up. And from inside, Blair's voice came out. "Okay, stop. That's not funny." I froze. "That's Blair," I whispered. Delaney nodded slowly. Then Blair spoke again. "Seriously, I can literally see your hands under the stall. Stop being weird." My chest tightened. Because we weren't near her stall. And the only other stall with someone in it was the one with the black heels. The door next to it opened. Blair stepped out. She looked annoyed. "Were you guys messing with me?" she asked. We didn't answer. We couldn't. Because at that exact moment, something moved. From the last stall. Slowly, a hand appeared. Pale. Too pale. Gripping the edge of the door. Pulling it open. Just a little more. And then, we saw her face. Half hidden behind wet, stringy hair. but visible enough. Too visible. Her skin looked wrong. Gray. Stretched. Her mouth slightly open. Like she was trying to breathe or speak. But I didn't know how anymore. And her eyes, wide, unblinking, locked directly on us. "Delaney?" I whispered. "Yeah, I see it," she said quietly. Blair turned, still irritated. "Who even is the..." She stopped mid-sentence. And then... "Oh, what the hell is that?" All three of us froze, because now we could see more of it. The woman was too big for the stall. Like her body didn't fit. Her shoulders pressed against the sides. Her legs bent at a strange angle. Too long. Too wrong. Like she had folded herself into that space. The stall door creaked open more. She leaned forward, her head slightly tilted. Like she was studying us, trying to understand. The music outside felt gone. Everything felt quiet. Heavy. Delaney grabbed my wrist, hard. "Run, now!" But I couldn't move. None of us could. Because the woman... She smiled. Low, wide, too wide. And then she made a sound, a soft, broken whisper. Not words, just air. Like someone who forgot how to talk. That snapped something in me. "Go!" Delaney yelled. She yanked my arm. I grabbed Blair, and we ran. Out of the bathroom, into the hallway, back toward the music. The noise. People. Anything normal. We didn't stop until we hit the crowd. Lights. Voices. Everything felt real again. "What the hell was that?" Blair said, breathing hard. I don't know," I said. Delaney shook her head. "There's something in there. Something is in there." A few people nearby looked at us. "What happened?" "There's something in the bathroom," Blair said. "Like, not normal." A couple of guys left. "Relax. It's probably someone messing around." "No," I said. "It's not." They went to check anyway. "5 minutes later, they came back. Confused. "There's no one in there." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, no one?" "We checked every stall," one of them said. "Empty." Blair shook her head. "No, that's not possible." But it didn't matter. Because deep down, we already knew. Before leaving that night, I went back once. Not inside, just the hallway. The door was slightly open. Lights still on. Everything normal. Too normal. I didn't go in, because I knew if I did, she'd still be there, standing in that last stall, watching, waiting. And the worst part? Blair swore she saw something else. When she was inside her stall, she said the hands she saw under the door weren't wearing shoes, but when we looked, there were black heels.
My name is Ethan Walker, and this happened during my second year at college. Finals week had just started, which meant everyone was stressed about projects and deadlines. One afternoon, my friend Chris and I realized something terrible. We had forgotten to submit our final research file for our history class. If we didn't turn it in before the professor graded submissions the next morning, we would automatically fail the course. The problem was, we only realized this after the campus had already closed. Our college technically closed most academic buildings around 9 p.m., but students knew there were ways to get back in if you really needed to. Chris looked at me and said, "Dude, if we just drop the file in the professor's office mailbox tonight, we're safe." I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but failing the class was worse. So around 9:45 p.m., we drove back to campus. The place looked completely different at night. The parking lots were empty. Most of the buildings were dark. The campus that was usually full of noise during the day felt strangely silent. We walked toward the old humanities building, where our professor's office was located. The main doors were locked, but one of the side entrances near the stairwell hadn't shut all the way. Chris pushed it open slowly. The metal hinge creaked loudly in the quiet hallway. For a second, we both just stood there. "Feels like we shouldn't be here," I said. Chris shrugged. 2 minutes, dropped the file, and we're out. Our professor's office was on the 3rd floor, so we took the stairs. Halfway up, I remembered something one of the seniors had mentioned earlier that semester. Apparently, years ago, a professor had died inside the same building. He was known for staying late, grading papers long after everyone else had gone home. One night, he had a heart attack in his classroom. The building was empty, so nobody found him until the next morning. Some students claimed they had seen a man walking through the halls late at night, always dressed like a professor, always carrying papers. At the time, everyone laughed about it, but standing in that dark stairwell, I suddenly wish I hadn't remembered that story. When we reached the 3rd floor, something immediately caught our attention. One of the classrooms down the hallway had its lights on. Every other room on the floor was completely dark. Chris frowned. Why would a classroom be open this late? I shrugged. Maybe a professor forgot to turn the lights off. But as we walked closer, we could clearly see someone sitting inside. At the teacher's desk. Chris stepped closer to the door and looked through the small window. Then he suddenly stopped. "What?" I asked. "There's a guy in there." "Like, a professor?" "I guess." I looked through the window myself. At the front of the classroom sat an older man behind the desk. He was wearing a dark jacket and glasses. His head was tilted down, like he was reading something. But the strange part was how perfectly still he was. The entire room was silent. No paper movement, no typing, nothing. Just a man sitting there. Then, suddenly, without lifting his head, the man spoke. "You're late." Both of us jumped. His voice sounded calm, but hollow, like it echoed slightly inside the room. Chris looked at me. Did he just... Before he finished speaking, the man slowly lifted his head and looked directly toward the door, toward us. Even through the glass, I could feel his eyes staring. "Come in," he said quietly. Neither of us moved. Something about him felt wrong. His face looked pale, almost gray under the classroom lights, and his eyes didn't blink. They just stared at the door. Chris leaned toward me and whispered, "Ethan, that's him." "What?" "The professor from the story." My stomach dropped. Suddenly, the classroom door slammed shut. Neither of us had touched it. Inside the room, the man slowly stood up. His chair scraped loudly across the floor. Then he began walking toward the door. Slow steps, heavy footsteps. Step, step, step. Chris grabbed my arm. We need to go. But before we could move, the door handle started turning on its own. That was enough. Chris shoved our assignment file under the classroom door. Good enough, he said. Then we ran. Down the hallway, down the stairs, our footsteps echoing through the empty building. Behind us, we heard the classroom door slowly open, but neither of us turned around. We didn't stop running until we were outside the building. The next morning, we went to class like nothing had happened. When we entered the classroom, something caught my eye immediately. Our assignment file was sitting on the professor's desk. Stamped, submitted. Chris looked confused. I thought we shoved it under the door. So did I. Then, I noticed something else. On the wall behind the desk was a framed photo of former faculty members. One of the pictures looked very familiar. An older man wearing glasses, dark jacket, serious expression, exactly like the man we saw in the classroom. Under the photo was a name, Professor Harold Bennett, Department of History, 1987 to 2009. Chris stared at the date. 2009, he said quietly. That's the year he died. I looked back at the desk. Our assignment file was still there. And written across the front page in red were 3 words. Don't be late again. Hi, I'm Mason Campbell. Just imagine sitting alone in a quiet library, surrounded by nothing but the hum of lights and the rustling of pages. You've been studying for hours. Everything feels normal, peaceful, until it doesn't. What happened to me 1 year ago still haunts me. I can still see her face when I close my eyes. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. Just finish this chapter, then home. The library was open late for finals week. Usually there'd still be a few students by now. But tonight, I was alone. Hello? Is someone there? I told myself it was just a janitor, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Great choice of reading material. Who's there? No response. The woman doesn't move, just watches. The moment our eyes met, I knew something was off. No, I didn't imagine that. I told myself I was just tired. I should have gone home hours ago. Something about the air felt weird, like the world had stopped breathing. Who's there? Stop following me! That's when I saw it.
a shadow that wasn't mine. I turn and see her. A woman, closer now, walking unevenly. Her limbs hang, her neck tilts at an impossible angle. What do you want?
Do you see her? Do you see my child?
My blood turned to ice. I pointed down the street, terrified. There! Over there! She's that way! The woman turns her head with a sickening crack and limps in the direction. I run in the opposite direction, gasping for breath. I run through narrow alleys, panting. The sound of my own heartbeat drowns everything else. I ran until I couldn't think, until every muscle burned. But no matter how far I went, I could still hear her. I ducked into a small alley, leaned against the wall, trembling. She's gone. She's gone. Silence. Then, a faint child's giggle echoes softly behind me. I turn slowly, flashlight trembling. A small child's doll lies in the dirt. One eye is missing. I kneeled, reached for it, and suddenly, a pair of rotted hands grabbed my shoulders from behind. I lay on the pavement. My neighbor kneels beside me, shaking me. Hey kid, you alright? Can you hear me? She was here. The woman, she...
Easy. You were passed out cold. You're lucky I found you.
He helps me up, leads him toward home.
You go to Eden Hill, right? You ever hear about Agatha?
Agatha?
Lost her daughter back in '98. A hit and run, right near her school. Never found peace after that. Some folks say she still roams those streets, looking for her child.
I stop walking. The world goes eerily silent again. I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but I know what I saw. Now, every night I get the feeling that she is still near. I just have to look. Maybe she's just behind me, waiting for me to turn around. Do you see her?